Hey, hello and welcome to today's GFG problem of the day. Hope you're doing well. So let's say today's problem, find the number of islands. Okay, so what the problem is saying is we'll be given a grid of size n into m, where n is the number of rows and m is the number of columns. Okay, consisting of zeros, which is water, and one, which is land. We want to find the number of islands. Okay, so we want to find the number of islands as a problem is saying. So what is an island? So for example, you know now that zero is termed as water. Okay, there'll be a grid wherein we'll have the grid will be containing the water and the lands. Okay, and we want to find the number of islands. So what is an island first of all? So an island can be the land which is surrounded by water. Okay, so this is a land, right? One denote the land, zero denote the water. So this land is surrounded by the water, so this is qualified for an island. Okay, another example can be this particular example where there is a grid, right? And this particular land, it is surrounded by the boundary basically, right? By the boundary and also by the water. So this also qualifies for an island. Okay. And we want to return the number of islands. Okay. Now, how can we solve this problem? So this is basically a graph problem. Okay. And we are going to use the DFS traversal in order to solve this problem. Okay. So how are we going to solve this problem? So the intuition will be, we'll iterate through each cell. So wherever we find one, right? That is a land, we will do a DFS traversal on from this land basically. Okay, from this land. So whatever land is connected will be connected. Whatever land will be connected, that will be counted as one island. Okay, that will be counted as one island. So for example, here we'll start. So we'll run a DFS traversal. We can move in 8 directions basically: top, down, left, right, and the 4 diagonal directions. Okay, so we are going to run. So for example, wherever we find. So what one technique we are going to use is, so wherever we find wherever we find land, we are going to mark it with 2. Okay. So this 2 will denote that this particular land is visited and it is not to be visited again. Okay. So we will mark this as 2. Then we will go to the adjoining lands. Okay. So this is land again. This land again. So we'll mark it as 2. This land again, we'll mark it as 2. This land again, we'll mark it as 2. Okay. So here, this land again, we'll mark it as 2. Okay. We'll mark it as 2. Now here we'll stop because here it is water. Here it is water. Here it is water. Here it is water. Okay. So we will increment number of islands to 1 now, right? To 1. Okay. And we'll now again iterate through each cell basically. So here it is 2, we'll ignore it. Here it is 0, we'll ignore it. Here it is 0, we'll ignore it. Here it is 0, we'll ignore it. 2, will ignore it. 2, will ignore it. 0, will ignore it. 1. We found 1. So again, wherever we find a land which is not visited, okay, we will run a DFS traversal on that land. Okay. So here, first of all, we are going to increment the number of islands, and then we'll start a DFS traversal wherein we will mark this as 2. We'll replace it as 2. Okay, and then we will run our DFS into 8 directions. So here there's one more, right? So here we are going to mark it as 2. Now we'll stop here because all the adjacent cells are water or there or it is in boundary basically. Okay, so here we are done with processing this island particular, right? And then now we are going to again run our we'll go through the cell, each cell, right? Here we are checking its water. Now again we have come across this land. Okay, so first of all we'll increment number of islands to 3. We'll run a DFS traversal on this land. We will replace it with 2, which means visited, right? Which means visited. Then we'll run our DFS again for the adjacent cells, right? So 2 will mark it as 2, 2, 2, right? So we'll stop here because there are no more adjacent lands, right? So 3. Now we'll again go to this cell. It is we'll visit the cell. Basically, it's water, 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 visited land, ignore it, water, and another land we found, right? So first of all, we are going to increment the number of islands, and then we'll run DFS traversal. We'll mark it as 2, which is visited, and then we'll stop here because there are no adjacent unvisited lands. Okay, so here finally we'll have our number of islands as 4 basically. So this will be the intuition behind solving the problem. I hope you've got the intuition. Now here the expected space complexity is O of n into m. Okay, O of n into m. But we can take, what we can do is we can take, so what the expected time, what the expectation is, we will create a grid, a cloned grid basically, right? Whatever the grid was, original grid was, we are going to create the clone one, and then we need to mark visit over here on this particular grid. Okay, but we are not going to do that. We are going to modify the original grid only. Okay, so you can, like, for example, if interviewer asks you to if the interview's expectation is right to take another grid, then you can do the same. It's not a big effort. Okay, so this is the intuition behind solving the problem. Okay, so let's go to the code. I think you'll understand better. So before going to the code, I'll also request you to subscribe to my channel, like the video. It will really be helpful to me. Okay, so let's quickly code. I think you'll understand better. Int n, first of all, let's take number of rows, grid dot length. So first I'll show Java code followed by C++, then int m equal to grid of 0 dot length. Okay, and then what? So now, as I said, right, we are going to iterate through each cell. So we'll have two for loops, one for the row, another for the column. J equal to 0, j less than m plus plus j. Okay. Okay. Now what are we going to do? We're going to check if grid of I of j, if it is 1, that is unvisited land, then run a DFS. Okay. So what we're going to do? We're going to pass grid. We are going to pass I, j, the current cell, n and m, the number of rows and columns. Okay. Then let's write void DFS, right? Care of grid int I, int j, int n, int m, int m. Okay. Now, first of all, we are going to check for the, we are going to make the boundary checks. That is, if I is less than 0 or j is less than 0 or I is greater than equal to n or j is greater than equal to m, right? If these indices are going beyond the boundaries, then simply want to return. Okay. Other condition will be if the cell, if it is, okay, let's first of all right. So what we're saying is, if we find the land, run a DFS, right? If we find the land, run a DFS. So first of all, what we're going to do, we're going to mark that particular cell, as I told, right? We're going to mark that particular cell first of all as visited with 2, right? And one more thing we have to do, as I told, int number of islands, this variable you have to take, right, equal to 0. Sorry, equal to 0. So whenever we find a land, there itself we are going to increment, right, number of islands. Number of islands, and then run a DFS here. So we are marking this as visited. Okay. Now we are going to run the DFS for this particular cell, right? Or from this particular cell into 8 directions. So how it is going to be? Grid. First of all, let's go top -1, I -1, j, right, will be as is, n and m, right? And then we have another, let's go bottom, then let's go left what, j -1, right? Then let's go to the right, j +1, and now let's go to the 4 diagonal, right? 4 diagonal. For example, first of all, let's go bottom right, then bottom left, right? Sorry, bottom left will be what? J -1, right? And then what? Top, top left, this will be top left, and another will be top right. Okay, so these are the 8 directions which you want to go in, right? Now what are we going to do? This cell wherein it was an unvisited land, we marked it as visited, then we are running the DFS into 8 directions from that particular cell. Okay, so wherever we find land, so first of all, so if the adjacent cells, are, sorry, if the adjacent cells are either, if it is water, right, equal to 0, if it is water, it will be, or if it was a visited land, if it was a visited land, then simply return. We cannot proceed ahead, simply return, right? Or if it is a boundary, then also simply return. Okay, if the adjacent cell was a particular land, unvisited land, then mark it as visited, and then again run the DFS in 8 directions from that particular cell. Okay, to mark all the adjacent land into visited. That will be counted as one island. Okay, so this is a solution. Okay, let's now return our number of islands, right? Number of islands. Okay. Okay, let's submit it. So I hope you've got the solution. Please subscribe to my channel, like the video. Oh, there's some stack overflow, something I missed. Grid I, if it is zero, return, mark it as visited. What is it? Where did I go wrong? I minus one, I plus one, uh, top, down, left, right, then I plus one, bottom, bottom, right, bottom left, okay, then top left and top right. I think we should be good over here. What is wrong over here? Let me, for example, I don't know. Let's submit it. Why it is behaving like this? It shouldn't. Same, I like I have solved this problem. So at times it is giving stack overflow and at times it is passing. This particular code had already passed. Come on. I don't know why. So I think some issue basically the same code has been passed, right? I have solved this problem before. Okay, let me try once more to submit this. I don't know why it is failing. I'll check on this. I think it should be working. There's some strange behavior. I'll attach this code in the comment section. Let's quickly see the C++ code as well. So here's the C++ code. Okay, so here what God is doing is we are taking the number of rows, columns, the same thing, right? Number of islands, and we are iterating through each cell. Wherever we find the land, unvisited land, we are incrementing the number of islands. We are running the DFS from it, right? Here are the boundary checks, right? Here are the boundary checks, and the if it is water, if the cell is water, or if it is visited land, then return from there. And if it is unvisited land, mark it as visited, run the DFS, right? Into eight directions. Okay. Okay, so and final return the number of islands. Okay, let's submit this. Let's quickly check. I think this should be working, at least on the C++ side. Oh, yes, it's passed. I think I don't know some weird behavior on the Java side. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, like the video. Have a happy, healthy, and a great day. Thank you so much.